Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Wanted to do a mini review on a book that we're reading at the moment, which we purchased from Turiya charity. It's called Teesra Netre, or The Third Eye, and it's English translation of Katha of Giani Sant Singh Maskeen Ji. What was particularly interesting, I've not read the whole book by the way, only about 40 pages in, but there's a topic that's covered that's seldom spoken about. Certainly I've never heard Katha in Gurdwara side about this particular topic, but Sanskrit talks about celibacy and calm, and poses the question, does spiritual progress and celibacy, do they go hand in hand? The short answer they give is yes, they do, which then in turn raises lots of questions. But then Sanchi very quickly clarifies that it's our understanding what celibacy truly is, where the issue lies. So we consider celibacy, certainly in a Western sense, of somebody who abstains from physical relations. Now, if we take somebody through different stages of a life, let's take somebody who is a young man in their prime of marrying age, but then somebody who chooses to go and live a life of solitude in the mountains on their own. Sanskrit clearly states that person is not how he would define a celibate. He talks about celibacy in the context of leading the life of a householder, having a grist jivan and having a wife and having, a respectful, healthy relationship, but then not to gaze upon other people's wives in an indecent manner, but to consider other people's wives as your own sister, Mataji, or daughter, for example. So it's not purely something on a physical realm. So, for example, in the Western sense, we talk about five senses, and we talk about hearing and taste and touch and sight and so forth. Giani Ji relates to all of these. We experience this world through all of our external senses. So what we see, what we hear, in addition to what we touch, they are food for the body. They feed the body, which in turn, is feeding the mind, creating thoughts, and thoughts lead to actions, which in turn, leads to habits. So if we took somebody who abstained from physical relations, but was suppressing their calm, but then at the same time, for example, was looking upon other women in a lustful way, or reading paraphernalia that was lustful, for example, then he does not consider that person to be a celibate. All they are doing is suppressing calm, which is going to lead to potential issues and life of hypocrisy. In the same way, the body requires bhojan, physical food. So, for example, if we deprive ourselves of food, ultimately we get to a point of such hunger that all we will be able to think about is eating and food. We won't be able to focus on anything else. So, Sanchi warns us about the danger of suppressing calm to the point where it becomes all we can think of, and ultimately there's a risk that it can affect our actions. So Santhji also takes examples from Itihas, so talks about Das Guru Sahib, but not them alone. So from other dharams talks Muhammad Sahib, and also, for example, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Sri Ramchandra, Sri Krishna Ji, for example, all leading Grist Jivan. And the very fact that we're here is because our Mataji Pitaji led a Grist Jivan. So the intention of, back to the original question with regards to celibacy going hand in hand with spiritual progress, is not so that we overnight abstain from physical relations, or that every man becomes a eunuch. That will be the trigger for the demise of the human race. But just actually to be very mindful of the way we conduct ourselves, what we choose to see, the way we think of other people, the thoughts that we have. All of these things will ultimately affect our actions. And that is a more clarifying definition of what Sanji is talking about in terms of celibacy. And those people who practice true celibacy are rare. There's lots of hypocrites around, and it explains the state of the world, including the Sikh Panth at the moment, and some of the issues and the controversies that we hear about, certainly adds some clarity to that. Anyhow, I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the book.